Hi, SPAC friends and family. It is Tuesday, and it's shortly after 2 o'clock on the West Coast, although I'm in the Central Time Zone at Shutterfest today, so it's 4 o'clock, but you can do the math. And it's Tuesday, so you know it must be time for SPAC Chat. I was absent last week, and I really want to apologize for obviously missing out, but we will rebroadcast that one that we filmed last week again in the near future. But today we have a whole bunch of people here. We're basically talking about security and your images. Everybody, I see you on the group volume boards, on all the photography boards, getting so irritated on people screenshotting your hard work. So today we decided to have a chat about it. And we're going to bring on some of our exhibitors that offer solutions to this. And then you can find whatever works best for you. But I have a few top of the news out tips here today. So most importantly, if you are in the high school market, our scholarship deadline is May 1st for high school seniors to apply. Now, they don't have to be a current school that you currently have. Matter of fact, this is a great opportunity to walk into that school that you do want with a big poster and letting them know that School and Sports Photographers has a scholarship. It's $1,500 cash, and it also includes a Sony camera kit. So it's really well worth it. We will be closing the application period on May 1st, and we are hoping to announce our winners on the 15th. Now, what does that mean for you? I've emailed you with a whole bunch of flyers that are ready to go. All you have to do is add your logo and drop it off. Every applicant is asked how they heard about it. So if your name pops up and one of your seniors is getting a scholarship, we're going to mail you the big check and the Sony camera. And all we ask in return is that you capture an image for us to use in our future marketing. This is the third year that we've done this program. And this is the year that we expanded it. We started with 3 scholarships, and now we're giving away 6 scholarships. I want to take this moment to just thank all of our attendees who come to SPAC conference, because you're buying the merchandise and attending SPAC conference helps us fund this program. Remember, folks, we are a nonprofit organization. So that's important. The other thing, exciting news, is we are going to be having a new executive board member on our board. We've had the application period close. We're getting ready to do interviews, so we will be announcing who that person is in the next few weeks. So make sure you tune in and watch your emails and watch our social media posts so that you can properly congratulate them and welcome them to the executive board. Other things to note. We are going to be making a very big announcement next week regarding our SPAC 2027. So please stick that in the back of your mind and make sure that you find it. I'll make sure I put it everywhere, but it's important to know what the changes are for next year. Okay, I think I'm done talking. Let's bring on our host, Calvin Harrell. Hi, Calvin.
Hello, Ms. Corey, and welcome back to the world of work, my dear. I hope you had a great trip.
I did.
Happy Easter to those that celebrate Easter. I'm sorry I cut you off, Corey. What'd you say, dear?
I said I did, but thank you.
Good. Happy Easter to those around the world that do celebrate Easter. It was a wonderful day for me, certainly, and I hope that you had a good one also. Today, we're going to talk about stopping the steal. I think it's an important topic that we need to have information about, because it's affecting everybody. And there have been strong efforts by a variety of our service providers to stifle the process, to help to educate folks. Of course, there's organizations that are involved in trying to educate the consumer. But as we all know, consumers are going to be consumers. What was it? One of the radio back in the day of CDs. Come on, Corey, help me out. Remember, he was stealing Napster.
Napster.
Back in the day of Napster.
We all downloaded music from Napster.
Absolutely. If you didn't download music from Napster, you downloaded music onto a cassette player off of the radio. But that just tells me my age. Okay, so leave it alone, Corey. Leave it alone. Anywho, I want to welcome our members or our people to the stage, please. Corey, will you pull them on up? These are representatives from various companies that have addressed the theft of images by way of watermarking them in certain manners. We want to find out what they're doing, how it's working for them, what they've seen in the reduction of theft for their consumers, and even if they want to pull it up on screen, we can share screen so we can see what that watermark might look like. That's up to them. I don't know if they're prepared for that, and I don't know who's yelling right now, but it's okay. I hope all is well. So Carl, welcome to the show, Carl. Carl's with SnapShield. We've got James Micklethwait with Got Photo. He is the CEO over at Got Photo. And Wayne, the Vice President of Products with Photo Day. And Michelle Federschneider, who's with Captura, and she's the Chief Product Officer. And no, I didn't practice that before, but when you've been in the school business looking at names for all your life, you can figure out how to pronounce a name. Most of you probably have that experience. So let's get started. Carl, let's jump in with you. I think you came to market with an independent product, and it's getting some great reviews. So share with us what you, oh boy, that's where that noise came from.
Sorry, I guess I had to pull the trump card. Sorry, so she's the one that's screaming over here, so I do apologize. She's supposed to be down for a nap right now, and she says, "Oh, you mean Kelvin and Corey? I gotta jump in here."
I don't think that baby should be at a nap. She's learning everything now. Right. So welcome again. Yeah. Share with us what you did, Carl, why you came about the idea of let me get something put together, and then what are you seeing in the way of success?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. I started developing what is now SnapShield about a year and a half ago, and 2 years ago almost, and it started off kind of as a joke. So really right now? So I had actually, it was one of those, I wanted to try and deter people because we were noticing as an issue, you know, the watermark removals and AI starting to come out. So my first iteration, a lot of people don't know this, of what's now SnapShield was red and blue flashing lights on your screen and a pop-up that said, you've been caught and this has been sent to our legal department. You'll see a cease and desist in your email. Gosh. And photographers thought it was hilarious, and I just did it as a joke. And in fact, we had a grandma that emailed us freaking out, and because she actually had seen it in the middle of summer when we're usually super slow. So, but I had a couple people reach out, and they said, you know, that's actually a really good idea. So I started working on it, and yeah, in 3 months now, we've got almost 200 subscribers. We're noticing about a 12% theft attempt rate. So it's significantly higher than what I think any of us were actually seeing. It's a huge issue. And the bigger problem that we're noticing just with the reporting on SnapShield is it's a growing issue from year to year. You know, so it's not just that it was a 2% issue a couple of years ago and it's a 5% issue. It's growing, and it's one of those cancers that if we don't stop it, it's going to take the industry. And I think that's the bigger issue that we're trying to stop is continuing the education. You brought up Napster. I downloaded music. Why? Because I didn't understand. I was a kid. I didn't understand the ramifications. So being able to, you know, educate our clients, let them know that this really, truly is a problem, is kind of the heart and soul of what I'm trying to create with SnapShield, and give the power back to the photographer versus waiting for something to pop up on Facebook and then attacking it on a defensive side. A lot of our guys are on the offensive side and shutting people down now.
So is your system able to be used in the proof viewing or the initial viewing yet when images are rendered? It's an automatic, you know, it drops out automatically for a product, or is it something that somebody has to re-upload or place orders for images without it?
Yeah, it's built right into the, essentially right into the shop. So any of the platforms that jump on with SnapShield, It's the customer essentially turns it on, and all of the protections jump on. But the biggest part of SnapShield is the reporting. So anytime somebody takes a screenshot, it actually reports back to the photographer to let them know not only who did it, timestamp, date stamp, IP stamp, and then we've got a bunch of data on that. We've actually I've got a legal team that actually is ready to take it to the next step if there's people that are doing higher end stuff. They actually love SnapShield. They're a copyright legal team, and they loved it. I had a meeting with them, and they're wanting to jump on board with SnapShield because they see the value of it. Obviously, it's going to make their job a lot easier with all the reporting. But yeah, I mean, again, it just really puts the photographer back in the driver's seat, knowing who's actually doing this, not just, throwing up another watermark and hoping for the best. AI is getting good, y'all. I mean, it's scary.
Yeah. All right, let's jump over here to James. James, you're with Got Photo. You're the CEO. I certainly hope you're attuned to the technicalities of what we're talking about, although it's not real technical. It's just general information. But share with us what you guys have been able to do and what you're seeing as the trend that you've been able to impact.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Calvin. Yeah, I think the first thing I'd say up front is that this is a topic, as you said right up front in the intro, that is clearly it's captured the attention of our customers and the community more broadly. So we take it very, very seriously. At the end of the day, we believe ultimately in the integrity of the image. There's a lot of work that we know goes into creating pictures, and we see it as our responsibility to help protect that integrity. The problem is that there is no single technical solution anywhere that actually completely prevents it. So the way we see this, our view on the whole thing is that the strategy that we think is the right strategy is to introduce friction. And we have this concept called a layered defense. It just basically means introduce some friction in a number of different ways and provide a good, fair price legal alternative. Because remember, that's what solved the Napster problem, to your earlier point, is that no one, when it came along, it was just a revolution. It was the only way to get the music. It was super, super exciting. As soon as there was a clear and credible and legal alternative in Apple Music and iTunes, it kind of faded away pretty quickly, actually. So that's our strategy. What does that mean in practice? It's basically four things. We think, visual deterrent is really, really important. So watermarks, they're not new, but crucially, we keep updating them. And this season, for example, we're going to have more of an educational element to the watermark rather than purely a preventative measure. So that's number one. Number two is actual technical solutions. So we've introduced something. I can demo it in a moment if you want. It's pretty simple to demo, but essentially it just hides the image if we detect that a user is trying to screenshot. So there are technical solutions as well. The third one I touched on with the watermark, but it's kind of separate, which is education. And it's just very important. Again, think back to Napster. This is not just about people looking for a way to do it, and they'll do anything they can to do it. Many people don't really know, or they kind of pretend to themselves they don't really know that actually this is illegal. And so education, we believe, will have a huge impact without any technical solution per se. And then finally, the one that doesn't get discussed, we think very much, and that we care about very strongly at Got Photo, we exist to help our photographers maximize the amount of sales for every photograph they take. And revenue protection is a really important part of the equation here, because it's very easy to go very, very big on some technical solutions, for example, or watermarks, and create an experience, especially in a proofing environment, which is so horrible that it damages sales. And that's a complete waste of time. There is no prizes for having super secure images that don't generate any revenue, that you've kind of self-defeated that. So that all across all those four different layers, we're attacking each of them very systematically. And in addition, we also believe this is something that we need to tackle together as an industry. And that's why very happy to recently announce that we're partnering with Carl and SnapShield. So SnapShield integrates tightly into Got Photo. So our customers have two options. They can have the Got Photo included solution that we create, or they can have SnapShield, which has some really great features, as Carl's mentioned, particularly in reporting, for example. I hear great feedback from our customers about the reporting side of things. So SnapShield's 100% compatible. We've got photo, including our new online store as well. So that's it from Got Photo. That's where we are.
Good. Hey, Carl, who else are you interfacing with from the various providers that we have at our conference?
Yeah, so Got Photo, we've got an official partnership. I know I've been in talks with a couple others. I don't know how much I can or should say to be
unless the deal is done, don't say anything.
Yeah, but I would say there's probably 4 or 5 different platforms that are wanting to jump on with SnapShield. And we've had very serious, sit down, multiple conversations about it. Again, it's. I think James put it perfectly. It's that layered defense, right? So SnapShield is just that additional option that somebody can use. No different than knockouts, right? I mean, you can knock them out at yourself in Photoshop, or you can farm it out to have somebody else take care of it. So, do you want to sit there and focus on the the theft, or do you want to farm that out? And let me deal with it, basically, because to be completely frank, this is becoming my full-time job. So.
Yeah, I can imagine. Hey, you got a question coming from a Keith Sullivan, and that's, does it work on phones?
Yes, so it is detecting on mobile. We've got a couple solutions on mobile. Mobile has been my #1 focused recently. There are other solutions that we're looking into with mobile as well. But yes, it absolutely works. Both Android, iPhone, you name it, tablet, iPad. We're pretty covered. So, and again, the reporting will actually split that. So you can see whether it was on desktop or mobile. We are seeing about 75% of the screenshots on mobile. But all of that's separated in that reporting feature, and each user actually gets a monthly report so they can see where everything's kind of coming from. Sorry.
No. It's really interesting that when we talk about educating, as James talked about, educating consumers, for all the years we've been doing portraits, seniors, let's just say, and we charge a session fee. And it's absolutely staggering how many people come to us, make a phone call. Hey, I already paid for my pictures. Where's my package? And it's a matter of, excuse me, you paid a session fee. That didn't include we have to talk to them individually. Although it's in the literature, this is a session fee. Your package options are here, or your digital file options are here. There's still an education curve that we have to understand with our consumers. Can you imagine what it's like to teach a class of kids coming from diverse family backgrounds and diverse levels of, shall we say, capability, capacity? It's a staggering challenge that education actually has for all of us. Hey, Wayne, let's jump to you now with Photo Day. You guys have always been frontline, cutting edge, trying to change the world, and you've made some big strides in the past 5 years. So talk to us about where you guys are with your screen capture protection systems.
Yeah, thanks, Calvin. Just like everyone else is saying here, this is an extremely important issue in our industry, and we take it super seriously. And so what we did within the management of Photo Day, we wanted to give more control to the studio, because here at Photo Day, we really focus on helping our studios market and be able to create sales. And there's just a tension line when you're talking about making something super easy for your consumers to kind of go through and buy. And then when you start adding layers of deterrence, it could prevent you from having sales. So we don't want to have security at the expense of sales, right? But we know that the more convenient something is, the easier it is to have that theft. And the more secure something is, the more challenging you're going to make it for people to actually purchase. So treading that is a really, really fine line, but we think we did a pretty good job. So the first thing, and very, very similar to what James kind of articulated, is that image theft prevention is not preventable. right? So even from all the technological assessments that we all have, and there are a lot of big brains on here, at the end of the day, a consumer can take their phone and literally just take a picture, and we would have no knowledge of what just happened. And they can take that, and like Carl mentioned, AI is really great right now, and they can take that through some other AI filter and generate the photo. So what we want to make sure that we understand, we talk about education to the end customer. We want to talk about education to our studios, that these are all deterrents. None of our systems are foolproof. A really, really smart end consumer, a thief, is going to be able to crack our system, right? Just like a person figure out how to have a bank heist, right? Like it's the same type of concept. So we are going to put up as many layered deterrents. And what Photoday has done, number one, we've launched a complete section when you're creating all of your jobs specifically dedicated to image protection. Number one, we have made it almost impossible to take a screenshot on a desktop machine. We do have about 33% of our traffic that comes from desktop. And then we also have recently added what we call an info overlay. So yes, people are posting in groups and saying, hey, can you remove this watermark for me? But because at Photoday, an end customer has to log in to be able to see their gallery, we put their information right on top of that gallery, so that if they're going to screenshot it, they're literally screenshotting their personal information and disseminating that information. So it makes it really, really kind of dicey for a person to say, well, let me go ahead and post my personal information in a public forum to get some stranger to be able to remove a watermark from me. Again, just an additional layer of deterrence. The third layer that we've just recently done, similar to James, like we are alternating our watermarks consistently, and we are trying to test them against certain AI, but we're not trying to test them too much, because the truth is, the more you feed an AI machine, the better it's going to learn. So we have to, again, we tread carefully with that. We're going to create these watermarks that are deterrents, but we don't want to like teach it too much, because eventually none of the watermarks are going to work the more that we do that. And then the last one that we just recently launched, we call it Screen Block. It is essentially a feature that if you are inside of a gallery on mobile, on an iOS device, and you try to take a screenshot, it's going to turn your screen black. And so we are really, really proud of that one. Everything that we're doing, and are there ways around this? Yes, admittedly, but we want to admit, like all of the people, I think Carl put out a stat, like 12.5% of kind of people are doing some sort of image stuff. We can reduce that number, because a lot of those folks that are doing it are just trying to do it really quickly. They're not trying to think about it and go through these high-tech ways. So we can just make it a little bit more difficult for them at every single step. I think that we're doing a really great job. And we want to make that really, really cohesive within our experience, so we don't cost the end customer like putting up so many things like, oh my gosh, don't screenshot. What are you doing? And now the people that aren't screenshotting, you just put screenshotting in their minds by saying don't screenshot, right? So it's we want the customer journey to be as smooth and as easy as possible, so they get from looking at the photos to checkout, but also just putting in some additional speed bumps along the way to kind of slow down the image step that's taking place.
Man, we really appreciate each of you. We're getting to Captura and Michelle in just a moment. We really appreciate the efforts each of you are doing to help the independent photographers out here. That it's remarkable that so many people are on the same page trying to solve the same problem, knowing that it's a problem that can't be solved. It can only be addressed, which is really how folks have to look at it. You know, shrinkage is a part of every industry. It doesn't matter what the industry is, from the industries that have billions upon billions of dollars that they play with on a daily basis. They, you know, if you can write code to snatch a half cent off the interest of everybody in one of the major banking institutions, you're a millionaire overnight. So believe it, people are doing all kind of things. People attempt to usurp systems that are in place, and they will continue to do so. So thank you for working on behalf of all of us in the industry. Ms. Federschneider, I need you to share with us what's happening over there at the Captura plant, that at the Captura team.
Yeah, I'll really echo a lot of what has already been said.
Yeah.
You know, the photos are the product in our sense, and so we want to make sure that we're at least protecting those for our studios, but not so far at the detriment where parents can't see the photo and really like fall in love with the photo and buy many and more of them. So we've approached it. I think, James, you said friction. We talk about that a lot. You know, we hope that people want to do the right thing. And so if you create just additional education or friction within the experience, you know, we're also thinking about this in terms of layers. And so one of the pieces of education, you know, we give studios the option to put welcome messages or different merchandising assets on our site. And so we've even seen some say, like, not to scare anyone, but like, hey, you know, this is our work and these images are protected. And we even do this as a service to the school. And so like really trying to play up the craft and like what makes these images special. And then really similar to James and Wayne, we have, you know, different dynamic watermarks that we've introduced. We're doing the same type of testing. AI is always evolving. And so, you know, we're trying not to just constantly chase that, but providing things that are, you know, baked into our workflow that are really easy for studios to add to their existing experience and that we can dynamically change over time. So watermarks is one prevention, but again, kind of figuring out how to work with it through AI, but not, you know, totally cover the face or like keep elements that are really visible so the parents still have a good shopping experience. So that's one. And then we're also, we've rolled out a screenshot protection feature as well. So when anyone goes on desktop, they'll get a pop-up that says, hey, this is protected. Studios can actually configure the message. And so they can go kind of as, they can cater that to what they think would be the most relevant to their audience. And so we're working through, there's some complexities on mobile. And so that's on our roadmap now. And it's really about creating just visibility for the studios of like, hey, how often this is happening and having that multiple points of friction. So it's just harder to do. And we're really hoping that's the deterrent that studios can see.
What as a group, and of course you have to respond individually, what do you, I mean, this is the present. What do you see for the future? As AI gets better, as we get better, you get better in developing detriments or systems that prevent this issue that we have right now. Can you predict the future for us at all? Anybody?
I don't think we can predict the future, but I think what we can say that is our focus becomes, like you mentioned, Calvin, like multi-billion-dollar industries have shrinkage protection. And that's just what we have to do in this landscape. We have to consistently iterate on what we're doing and make this a department. Security is no longer just something that we have to, oh, maybe we should do that. Point. No, it's something that we have to invest in constantly.
Great point.
And on top of that, what we have to do is like really understand that the people who are stealing is like, if you have a job and you feel like that job is being, those screenshots are taking place consistently in that job and you're not seeing the sales from that job, you have to ask yourself the question, is that the customer that you want? Right? Someone that would steal from you, if they couldn't steal from you, would they buy? And I asked anyone on this panel, like, when we were, downloading Napster, if someone came to us and was like, hey, look, would you want to buy this CD? We probably would have said, no, I got it for free at home, right? So that we weren't necessarily the right consumer for that. And so I think that for our studios, it's about really kind of understanding, like in your business, is this the right customer, the right school, the right, sports league? Is this the right team that I want to be taking photographs of if I feel like they are stealing from me? And so that's one last aspect of it, and I'll let someone else talk, is just really kind of doing the work to not automatically go to, and I know Carl said he has some reporting. I don't know about the rest of us having, it's very, very difficult to kind of get reporting on these things, but like, if you feel like that is happening, or even if you are seeing some sort of reporting that says that, let's find out, are there other data points that we need to be paying attention to on our jobs that's not causing them to perform? Is there something with the e-commerce experience that is preventing the customer from checking out? Are the packages too complicated? Are the pricing strategies correct? There's just so many other things that we can think about other than just like, okay, well, they must be, screenshotting my photos. And yes, it's definitely happening, but I think that it's a double-sided coin. We have to be preventative and think about the things that we can do to have full-length security, but also be really strategic.
Outstanding. James, I thought you were about to jump in on there. Not sure.
Sure, yeah. I think, great points from Wayne. What I'd add, maybe I'm an optimist, but I think, as I alluded to earlier, I do think eventually we'll reach a more natural state. It's not without effort, as we're all saying that we're contributing right now, but we'll reach a natural state where, new technologies, this often happens. Like, remember when the internet came along and everyone thought all content should be free. I refuse to watch ads because they're horrible and I won't pay either. And look where that's ended now. It settles down and everybody understands that anything of value has a cost and you pay for it either by watching some ads or you pay a subscription. And I think the same will happen here, which is that AI is amazing and you can do all of these things, but people become more educated about what's right and what's wrong. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. So I think that on the consumer side, that will happen as long as we collectively educate. And then I would particularly echo what Wayne said on again, back to Napster. As long as we're offering a really great quality and very fairly priced alternative as well. I'm not saying we're not doing that today, but that's a big part of the mix here, especially when times are hard. Entry-level packages, are they at the right price point? Because if you price yourself out of the market, then people will do things. They'll look for alternatives. So pricing is one thing. The other thing as well is just we need to keep innovating in the industry and make sure the products that we put out there are absolutely fantastic and just so much better than a consumer could do, because that all adds to perceived value. So I think long term, that's where it's headed. But we all have a job and a collective responsibility in the meantime to make sure that we end up in that place.
Yeah, and Bob Kenward is sharing with us that customers take a screenshot even though they've placed an order, or they then place an order. They're taking a screenshot because it's on my phone. I see it. Why isn't it mine? I should be able to have this. What's the problem here? I mean, there's a plethora of reasons and rationale that end consumers will put on it. Oh, it's only for my kid, or I only wanted my mother to see or my grandmother to see. So if she wanted one, I would be able to get her one, whatever. People are going to say what they need to say. But
I think, sorry to interrupt. I think what Bob's talking about is actually my lockout feature. So we have a lockout feature with SnapShield where once they hit a threshold of screenshots that they've attempted, it actually locks out their account. So then it gives it back to the photographer to unlock their account, but with a message. So, because I actually just talked to Bob about this the other day. So what he's seeing, and a lot of photographers are seeing, is when they've implemented the lockout feature, it actually locks out their account. They're going to see if these people have ordered before. They never have, but the fear of getting locked out again is actually pushing them to order. So not being able to continue taking those screenshots, which actually is pushing more into the preventative versus just the protection, because if you're locked out, you're locked out. If you can't see them, you can't screenshot them. So that's been a huge feature for SnapShield here recently, to be able to lock them out of their account so that way they can't continue to steal. And funny enough, I actually built that for league directors and school officials, because what was happening was they were getting global access codes and then taking screenshots of the entire league, and again, without the reporting, to Wayne's point, how do we know if that's the problem? So that's where, there's a lot of value in SnapShield with that reporting of being able to actually pinpoint and say, yes, this league is stealing from me, so maybe I don't want to work with them again. Maybe they're not my customer. But, sometimes just looking at sales, you might not even know that $5,000 job should really be a $12,000 job, so it seems great, but being able to lock them out and say, hey, tough luck, try again, and then 10 minutes later, they're putting in $100 order, and That's, like I said, that's what I'm seeing from a lot of my customers is once they get locked out, they're actually placing orders when they never have before.
Yeah, that's a good place to be. It is a good place to be. The other alternative, which I know some of you won't want to hear, and that is prepay. Although they can prepay through your system, prepay. If you got a league, we do make choices on what consumer we serve. And certainly that should be based on profitability and a host of other things, ease of collaboration, all those things come into play. But every customer is a good customer. You just got to figure out how to sell it to them in a way that makes sense for you as a business person.
Well, so I know a lot of people are scared of, or they're starting to want to go back to prepay. So what I've been educating my people on with SnapShield, my SnapShield customers, is they're actually putting a Stripe link in their lockout pop-up that says, pay this $30, we'll give you a coupon, and then I'll unlock your account. So it essentially becomes a prepay, still gets the value of the platform, and now we've got kind of the best of both worlds. But again, they can't continue to screenshot unless they make that purchase. So it really does kind of bring all of it together. It protects the client, protects the photographer, the studio. It's kind of been the lockout feature has been a huge hit.
Wow, Bob is the shill that you invited to the party, right? Because he's got the comments for sure. He didn't think they were a big problem, but since he's installed your product, he's been shocked by the number of people that are actually, for whatever reason, it may not, just screen capturing. And we have to keep in mind that I implied it, but a lot of times the screenshot is not to be used for anything that would be a display purpose. It's strictly, I just want it on my phone so I can have it kind of thing. But it's still, we don't get paid for that. And that's not where we want to be. How long has the fight been waged, Corey? This fight has been waged for decades. From the time we made paper proofs and put a stamp in the middle of it that said proof, do not copy. It's been around forever. It's just taken on a new genre in our digital viewing, online viewing of proof sets and that sort of thing. So it just rises and elevates back to the surface. But this is a problem we haven't been able to solve forever. It's just one of those things. Bertie, it would have been wonderful to have you. We will make sure that you're included on the next one, brother. Anyway, anybody else have any last closing thoughts on this matter?
Got one small comment. Oh, go ahead, Michelle.
I was just gonna say, it's so great to be here collectively because we've all said it, but this is an industry problem, and I think the more that we can all do collectively to, it will raise the bar for the industry as a whole, and hopefully the combined education and all of those other pieces, they'll, it's their, whatever the analogy is, the rising tide lifts all ships. It's
absolutely
one of those moments.
That's the rising tide. Yes, more engagement. Well, we do have Bertie online, and Bertie has been a flash in the industry since he came in. He's very much attuned to technical sides of things, and he got something he wants to share. He was so excited to say, I should have been there. Bertie, bring it on, man. What can you add to the conversation?
Hey, everybody. I just happened to be home, sitting in my basement, where behind my daughter's little Disney park. Look, I always enjoy this conversation where nowadays it looks like SaaS is dying soon. All of us are being able to build tooling that we were never able before to do. But I'm afraid that we're losing the real focus on where we should really concentrate our energies. And the image security, I don't think is going to be a problem that has a valid solution without major compromises on security. because we're natively, most of the tech stack that is nowadays available prevents us from getting access on people's devices, pretty much protecting us from ourselves. And I was looking with my son earlier ways to prevent screenshotting, and he found out that there's only 3 companies who have been able to implement that. And sadly, they're not the scale or the size we are. It's Netflix, Amazon, where they serve the pictures in a video loop and prevents screenshotting. I think we should focus more on sales, marketing, content creation. We have this very unique skill set where we generate content data driven, and now we can scale to nth amount of time to serve pictures. The good news is people need pictures, and they need good pictures. Are we ready as an industry to scale to the levels that people want these pictures being good at? That's the real input I wanted to have. Because again, it's great that I applaud Carl for coming up with the looks really nice product, but we all know that it's a deterrent, and what we do with the information we capture after someone has been trying to screenshot pictures is more important than the screenshotting itself. I did build my own screenshot deterrent where it's universal. It can be placed on any website that serves pictures. It's going to track long presses and whatnot. It's going to track the session. And what we've implemented is we've been emailing and texting people after a certain amount of attempts, because many people don't realize that what they're doing is wrong. And not that they're intending to steal from us, but it's just that, let me screenshot it because I can come back later instead of logging into the website. Because most of the e-commerces have this high barrier trying to log in, needing a passcode, doing all that stuff. What I've implemented in mine is once you do in a certain amount of time, let's say in a minute, you do, let's say 25 events, screenshotting long presses and whatnot. Clearly you're having hard time. I assume you have hard time getting your pictures or getting to the next step in your shopping cart. That's where my AI bot will call you and engage with you saying, hey, we noticed you're trying to buy pictures. Do you need any help? Or we'll send an email. I don't like punishing people for, hey, now you screenshot it, I'm going to block you and, disable your account and all that stuff. What are we doing? Really? Because I always take the examples from the big guys. If you notice, there's no longer security guys at the Home Depots. Why? Home Depot is one of the places where people steal all the time. But Home Depot removed their security people at the door. Why is that? So that is my take on this matter. I think we should be able to scale engaging with people who are soliciting our website, trying to buy pictures or even previewing pictures, and enticing that into making people feeling more heard and helped. I think has a better value proposition than just blocking and now, because can anyone of us really tell to the dot what impact has this screenshotting had? Has anyone really measured the real shrinkage onto the sales?
That's a challenge, a real challenge.
Yeah, I think to your point, Bott, that's impossible to do, because the action that a person who is screenshotting to send it to grandma and the action that someone is actually screenshotting it because they want that image, it looks the same to the system, right? You're pressing the same two buttons. So we're not certain if that person was doing it for theft or if that person was doing it to just, like you were mentioning, having it, they don't want to have to log in again to be able to see the photos. So to be able to measure this from a financial standpoint is literally impossible. Like, you can try to put data points together, but the truth is, like, I have a great friend at Photo Day, like, you can make data say whatever you want to. You can make a lie 100 times, right? So like, it's really impossible to really get down to like the point, kind of what you're saying. So I agree with that.
But have we engaged? Have we picked up the phone? And because that was my, in a few episodes, when I really picked up the phone and I called the person, not to confront, not to argue, and not to fight, rather than, hey, is there any help I can do for you to navigate the website? Because most of our shopping cart user experience, I hate to say it, it's horrible. Like, compared to what people spend most of the time of the money nowadays, whereas, Amazon is one swipe experience. And I'm not saying we should try to replicate that, but I've seen some of the websites of our folks, including mine. It takes effort to get to the place where you need to be. And that's, and we all know how that's related to people abandoning the shopping carts. Like, do we have a stat from Godphoto, Captura, or whatever shopping cart, independent shopping carts, which are plenty? I use Cytist. How many of people logging in will abandon shopping carts? Has anyone picked up the phone and tried to compile data saying why people are leaving our shopping carts hanging? Mine is 25% of people logging in will leave their shopping cart hanging. Because it comes down to, we can have the best tools in the place. If we're not selling, we're dying.
But I mean, yeah, so we've all got numbers. I feel like we're slightly off the topic here, but it's very valid. As an industry, I mean, we get buy rates of 50%. Amazon would kill for those. Now, I'm not saying that our shopping cart is perfect. It can always be better, and it will be better every single day. But I don't think that we have a massive problem. We have a high intent purchase industry, and we get a lot of parents to buy. We do see abandoned cart. It does happen, and we can retrieve some of those, get those numbers even higher. But I think, a lot of your points, Bertie, very valid. But I don't know if you were on the call earlier up front, but a lot of us are agreeing with what you're saying. No one is saying we all think it's it's carrot and stick. It's education and prevention. It's very nuanced. We call it a layered defense. It's a range of different tactics to increase awareness of what the right thing to do is, and to incentivize consumers to do the right thing and to offer a great service as well. So I don't think we're miles apart. Actually, I think we're all kind of in agreement of the right way forward here.
Absolutely.
Well, James, not to debate over this, but we're trying to solve a problem, meaning preventing screenshotting, and we don't have a valid or clear data set saying we're having a 20 or X% shrinkage in our name the shopping cart, Godphoto, Captura, Independent, and we truly believe that we're getting robbed. So we got to solve this problem. Are we chasing something that we don't know how big it is?
But I think we're all trying to. So Carl shared a stat. I think SnapShield is great.
I've got the data on it, and the problem is, for me, it's not so much. It's a growing problem, and that's the issue that I'm trying to solve here. It's not necessarily that, again, I think we're missing the point. It's not the fact that we think 100% of people are stealing, and it's like that big of a deal right now, but it was even less of a deal last year. It was even less of a deal the year before. So it's going to be a bigger deal next year and a bigger deal the following year if we just say, meh, not a big deal. So how long do we let it continue to bleed before we completely die? Is kind of my point. I'm big on precedent, and if I let a school dictate how they run my company the first year, they're going to dictate how they run my company from here on out. It's the same thing with the parents. So again, it goes back to the education piece. And I mean, the data shows currently in slow season, we're at a 12% theft attempt rate. So last year we were at like 5. So that's a 7% increase in just a year. So I just don't see that this is a problem that's going to go away. In fact, it's growing exponentially. So if we don't make somewhat of an effort to at least slow it down, again, I completely agree. Nothing is going to be preventative, right? Unless we just completely shut people out, which is counterintuitive as well. But we have to do something, because if we don't, then you had mentioned Home Depot. You know who else got rid of their front desk people was remember a company called Circuit City? Anyways, besides the point, how quickly are we willing to let this industry die if we don't step up and protect it?
To your point, Carl, the 5 to 14, 12, 5 to 12% or something of that nature, you said, effectively. I'm not sure the exact numbers. I'm wondering, since we see you've experienced or seen or tracked a specific amount, how does that correlate to the economics of the nation? Because you're all over the country. And if we see challenges in the economy for the consumers, then that would contribute to their need to, or their desire to, I want it and I don't want to pay for it because I don't have the resources to pay for it. So
100%.
Those things come into play too.
Yeah, 1,000%. That's why, honestly, when Bertie had even mentioned, well, is this increasing sales? Is this decreasing sales? One, there's too many factors, to Wayne's point. It could be economy, it could be different demographics, it could be you increased your prices, you decreased your prices. I can't completely nail and say, that SnapShield's putting money in your pocket, but I can tell you it's slowing down taking money out. And that's something I feel very comfortable saying. And with partnerships like with Got Photo and some of these other platforms, we're only going to get more data and more impact in that sense to be able to really head this on. Because as we gain that data, now we can make educated decisions on what we do in our business. But right now, we don't know, because the only factors we know are, again, like Wayne said, we know our prices, we know how much we're making, but we don't know anything else. And now we have a solution that does.
Okay, I'm going to jump in
Gentlemen,
here. Can I jump in, Calvin?
Yeah.
Of course I am. So your girl Corey loves marketing, and this is really what it comes down to. If you explain your story, if you're a local photographer that only does a region, play on that. You're a local part of their community.
Oh boy,
we might have lost her, but I'll go into that, because I think we've seen this too. Like, if you're doing this as part of a school fundraiser, if there's other value that you're providing to with your service, and really playing that up is definitely an angle that we've also tried to push, because it is a good story.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Also, your pricing. I love someone who said, maybe it's a time to evaluate your pricing with market. With the economy right now, maybe there's something that you come up with for fall if it gets really bad with gas and shipping and all that other stuff, that you offer something in a marketing standpoint that makes it accessible for those people who are really pinching their pennies.
And I would add, there are a lot of things in our control. And so I know we're talking a lot about preventative measures here and kind of what is happening in the industry. And so I know all of us collectively, this isn't the only thing we're doing. And there's a comment about making it easy. And so there are a ton of reasons in our industry report that we know why parents aren't buying. It could be the quality of the image, it could be the pricing. And so there are things that we can do to also make the experience easier. So it's preventative, but also there's really easy access for people to get what they want in the right way. And I think that's where we also have a lot of control in that.
And one of the critical things I think that all of us as operators on the direct-to-consumer side have to be conscious of is the sustainability of our industry and our markets. right now, because of the economic climate that we've been experiencing over the past 18 months or so, there's been some radical shifts in the way things are being done. We simply have to navigate through this period of time because it will change again. You know, it's just the pendulum just goes back and forth, and these conditions will change. We'll get a reduction probably as the economy improves. There'll be a reduction in those people that are attempting to screen capture, et cetera. So it's not the end of the world. No part of this is the end of the world. As I indicated before, we had problems with people taking photographic proof prints on photographic paper and copying them so much so that we had to use a rubber stamp and and stamp the words proof on every one of them. And then if they bought the proof, we use a little chemical and wipe the dang word off and sell them the print back to them. So
remember that?
It's been, there's been so many iterations trying to protect our imagery. We just have to keep doing it. And thankfully, you guys are all addressing it on the digital side in a manner that it has not been addressed before. And I want to congratulate you all on behalf of our entire industry for jumping into the fray and creating systems that are usable across various platforms that can help reduce the challenges that this kind of activity presents.
Exactly. So, and remember, we always say there is not one correct solution.
No.
At SPAC, we give you all the options that we feel are the best ones out there, and it's up to you to find out what fits for you. And I personally want to thank everybody on the panel today and your companies for doing this work, not just forgetting about it and looking the other way, but actually trying to do some measures to prevent it.
Absolutely. I want to thank you also, you guys. This has been robust, and there's been a lot of information shared here. Bertie, thanks for joining us late. You have a broad perspective on a lot of different things, but it causes thinking, and that's what we have to do. We have to have a think tank type environment where there might be opinions that are radically different or just shed a different kind of light and thought process into whatever we're discussing. So thank you so much for joining us. Corey, do you have some final information that you're going to share for the entire group?
Well, everybody, I want you
announcements?
Well, not yet, but in the next 3 weeks, there's going to be quite a few. So if you watch us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, if our Facebook, we're there, it'll all be there. And I also send you an email. So make sure I don't end up in your spam folder.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, folks, that's it for this week. Next week, Corey, what we got next week? I think it's one of the specials.
It is Tech Tuesday. Matt will be doing Tech Tuesday.
Matt is going to run Tech Tuesday. Bertie, call Matt. You might be able to work with him on one too. But anyway, next week is Tech Tuesday. We surely appreciate you guys joining us. We hope that the information that's been shared is of value to you in the present and in the future, and understand that we have partners in our business. The vendors that we bring into SPAC are actually partners that want to help us and see us all succeed. So thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.